Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that welcome. And I'll be your host today for the 2014 edition of the Big Rethink. I don't think it's true yet that mass culture is truly dead, and the reason is that human beings are fundamentally, maybe even biologically, social creatures, and so we like to participate in the same things at the same time. It gives those events a much bigger meaning for us if we know that other people are watching it at the same time we are.
We live in a day and age where you can have an instant and real-time conversation with your consumer through Twitter. So brands don't have to spend a whole lot of money or do, huge things in order to create that bond. They can just use the tools that we have readily available to the world.
It's about following your own path for every brand. It's about finding the hook that people like about your brand and working with that rather than trying to do everything and thinking about what is it that's going to make them pause.
I think there's absolutely a right and wrong time, and I think there's a right and wrong consumer to send a message to. When can you be most relevant, and how can you be most relevant in terms of your timing as well as your content?
Anything we do will only ever achieve its potential if you start with what fascinates people and make it relevant.
Like, data is at its heart consumer generated, right? So take that data, take your brand, right? Put a unique view on it, a creative spin, and feed it back to the audience and say, this is the story that we built together.
We have to create utility and value from that data, using that permission. That is about creating things that customers want to use to really add value to their experiences.
I think it's very easy, certainly in the digital world in which we live in, and the many digital platforms that are out there, for brands to place themselves in places where they're just not very authentic.
I think what brands and companies need to realise is sometimes it's not doing more, it's doing less, being more precise, giving more value, and being more useful to the customers.
Being virtuous is a tricky thing, right? It's really become the holy grail for how are you really true and meaningful, and you don't fake that.
Don't try and be some artifice or something else. Don't try and tap into kind of a persona that you think someone needs to be or should look like.
That ultimately, when things go wrong, what we're seeing is integrity, honesty, transparency are actually incredibly disarming for those situations. So probably trying to spin yourself out of those situations no longer has the same impact.
Well, I think that real-time marketing is going to get more targeted, more granular. There's going to be the potential to know so much more about consumers, but the really big question is what we do with that data. And unless we're able to offer something meaningful back to the consumer, there's a great risk that this stuff might just start to seem really rather creepy.
73% of the brands could disappear, nobody would care. Think about how hard everybody in this room is working to keep a brand alive. And most consumers don't care about most brands.
This is an industry that's moving incredibly fast, it's in flux. It's scary that no one knows what the rules are and that we're all having to kind of make things up as we go along in many of these new fields. But that's also what makes it so exciting.
There's a difference between puzzles and mysteries. And I think what's happened is that market researchers have got used to figuring out puzzles. But more and more, the questions that we need to answer to be successful in marketing are the ones that are mystery questions. What's it like to be a teenager? What's it like to be growing up in China right now? There is no final answer there, and there is no way to say that the way I see it is the right way. So the more I can interact with other people and discuss all those mystery questions, then I'm in a much better position to go back to my company and say, I think I found some of the best insights into what these mysteries really are.